decision to make an adoption plan for a child is one of the most important decisions a parent will ever make. Allied professionals who come in contact with parents considering an adoption plan play a vital role in encouraging them to base their decision on non-biased, accurate information and resources. Parents should feel empowered to use relevant information specific to their circumstances, beliefs, and wishes. The first step in any adoption plan is to contact a licensed adoption agency and speak with an adoption counselor. There are a variety of agencies in Wisconsin that provide services to expectant birth parents. A current list of agencies is available through the Wisconsin Department of Children and Families website. The Wisconsin Department of Children and Families website contains more than adoption agency information. It also contains information on the adoption process. This page also links you to the Coalition for Children, Youth, and Families website. This site offers a birth parent information packet that contains information on Wisconsin's adoption agencies, services, and resources for expectant birth parents. Access to a list of adoption agencies is important and should be available at multiple points of contact for expectant birth parents. Since each state in the United States has different adoption laws and services, this packet will provide accurate information on Wisconsin's adoption services and legal process. This specific and relevant information can aid the expectant birth parents in understanding their choices when considering an adoption plan. For example, in Wisconsin, a licensed adoption agency and an attorney will always be needed to complete an adoption plan. Once the expectant birth parent or parents choose an adoption agency, they will meet with an adoption counselor. It's important to note that despite the name, the adoption counselor's role is to discuss potential options available to expectant birth parents, not just adoption. Adoption counselors provide counseling, support, and information to empower expectant parents to make the best decision for themselves and their child.
When an expectant parent presents to our agency with an unexpected pregnancy, she's usually looking for information on her options. As a full-service agency, our counselors are going to provide her with information and ask questions to help her through her decision. There are no right or wrong answers to these questions, and the decision is a very personal decision for each woman or young girl. Therefore, it's going to look differently for each one. Our role, even as an adoption agency, is to help her process through that decision and decide what's right for her and for her current circumstances, not to convince her that adoption is her only option or choice.
The first meeting with an expectant mother, father, or together as a couple is important as a way to get to know them and in order to build trust. So through doing this, you're going to want to show a lot of empathy and respect for them. They came to you in a very brave way, wanting to talk about adoption and wanting to explore their thoughts. So through doing this, it'll be important to gather some social history information, and through doing so, you will understand further and ask questions surrounding their motivation to create an adoption plan, what their hopes and dreams for their future are, what their hopes and dreams for their future baby are. And then also explaining just very briefly the adoption process will be helpful to clear their mind and help to make more of a solid decision in wanting to move forward. The first meeting will be generally spent around getting to know them and discussing their motivation in creating the adoption plan.
So some of the questions we might ask would include how did you feel when you first found out you were pregnant? What did you see as your options? Is there anyone that you've talked to or that has helped you process through this decision with you? How did you feel before you were pregnant about each of your options, about adoption, about abortion, about parenting, especially in relationship to your personal or religious, spiritual values or beliefs? Then we might talk about what do you think your life looks like in 5 years? And now in relationship to this unexpected pregnancy based on each of those 3 options. Then we might get a little more specific with the different options. We might ask her if she knows what open adoption is and what does that look like to her. We would ask if she knows the costs and the procedures to terminating a pregnancy. We'll ask what resources she might have for parenting. And then we will go through each of the pros and cons for those 3 paths and what it might look like if she chose each one of those to help her decide what is the right decision for her at this point in her life.
Expectant birth parents make adoption plans for a variety of reasons. An adoption counselor will explore all of their parenting options, not just adoption. Through thoughtful conversation with the counselor, the expectant birth parents can ask questions, identify what is important to them, and acknowledge that sometimes adoption is the best option for their child.
When it comes down to the welfare of your child, you always want to make sure that you're doing the best for them. So you want to make sure and look at every aspect of your life and say, can I handle this? Can I do this? Is this the best thing for my child? And if you're saying yes to every question, if you have no doubts, then do it.
Ultimately, the expectant birth parents will decide what is best for their situation and their child.
You guys gave me the freedom to make that choice. You helped me with everything that I needed to be helped with. You answered all my questions. You were there for me 100%. And you made sure that I knew that it was my choice to make this decision.
As professionals, our personal beliefs and feelings about adoption should not influence how or what information is shared with expectant birth parents. If you are uncomfortable discussing the option of adoption based on lack of information, personal beliefs, or any other circumstance, it is best to defer to the adoption counselor.
I think what was helpful was everyone who I worked with. So the agency was very helpful. When my OBGYN told me about the family who wanted to adopt, and I met them, and they were very supportive, very helpful. They were very open about who they were. I think that was very helpful in just knowing the whole process.
Open adoption refers to an agreement made between the birth and adoptive parents regarding contact after the adoption is legally finalized. In Wisconsin, this agreement is not legally binding. However, more and more adoption agencies are counseling adoptive parents on the benefits of open adoption.
We were able to, we're fortunate enough to have add another family into ours, and it just kind of flows, so we can communicate as much as we want or see each other as much as makes sense. So I think that's unique in our situation, but it would be something that I would hope for other people as well.
An unplanned pregnancy can cause stress, conflict, and confusion. Many expectant birth parents are unaware of how much control and say they will have over the decision-making process, whether it's deciding to parent or choosing who will raise their child. This should be a time of thoughtful, informed consideration, not judgment, pressure, or fear.
just gambling with an innocent child who doesn't ask to be here. I just knew I couldn't, so I wasn't gonna, well, maybe I'll try, because I knew it was not possible.
Do you still feel good about how the hospital went, like that he was in our room and that you didn't have those days?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Like, and that's the
Think
way I
about that.
wanted it. Like,
You always said that that's the way you wanted it.
right, like, just so you guys could feel like you had a baby.
When asked, all parents want what is best for their child. Sometimes adoption can offer the child a family that is more prepared to accept the challenges of day-to-day parenting. Through open adoption, the birth parents can stay informed and connected with their child.
I think if I would have to do it all over again, I would definitely choose adoption. I was in no place physically, mentally, financially to take on another child, and the fact that my family wasn't supportive and you guys were, that made you like family, and that helped me through my adoption so much more. And the fact that I met this wonderful family who took Zuri in, and I can still see her, makes it all worth it. And seeing that she is loved just the way I would have loved her.
For additional information or resources, contact the Coalition for Children, Youth, and Families.